we're gonna create a new hairstyle for Jim. He's 36 years old, and he's lost his hair for about 10 years ago or something like that. So we're going to create a custom hairpiece for Jim, and what we're going to do is create a new hairstyle for him. Most times when you use a stock hair replacement, you're not creating a custom look and you're not creating a hairstyle. So our goal is to create Jim a new hairstyle, things that he can do with the hair replacement and create different designs with it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take something like this, which is a disc, and we're going to warm this up, and then we're going to put this over his head, and we're going to create a mold that's going to end up looking like this. So Jim, the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to actually put this over your head, and I'm going to have you actually give me a helping hand.
Sure, no problem.
All right, take one in each hand. And then I'm going to take this frame or this disc and put it over your head, and I'm going to have you hold it for me.
Sure.
And right now the frame is in hot water.
Perfect.
So it'll be warm. That's why I'm having you hold it.
Wonderful. I'm ready.
But Jim, before we do all that, we're going to create a hairline for you.
Okay,
so you have to remember when you're creating a custom hairpiece, the face is in equal parts. So what we're going to do is we're going to create where your hairline should be, creating equal parts on your face. So based on that, your hairline should be right here.
Hey, that's easy enough. I can just line my hands up like yours.
Yeah, so then once an older individual is, if somebody is like 60 years old, you want to create the natural hairline back a little further, like an aging process. But Jim being 36 years old, we want to create a hairline for him that he actually would have at this age. And then we follow all the way through the sides. When you're creating a custom piece, you have to remember that the curvature of the scalp here is where you want to go. If you make the base too small, you end up with a teepee. And what you're trying to create on a man is you go by the cheekbones, and you create a straight up and down look, rounded at the edges and flat on top. So then in Jim's particular case, the hair loss that he has will probably never go lower than it is right here. So and in the back, we want to go to the point where just above the occipital bone, because if he has more hair loss, that'll be covered for the future. So we just follow this through, all the way around. And then I also like to always measure the distance. So we're going to make this base about 9.5 inches in depth. And from side to side, we're going to make it about 6 inches. So once we got that, now we take this disc. Now that's been sitting in water that takes it where it brings it so it's transparent. And now the frame is warm, so now I stretch this over his head. Bring it all the way down, and I have him hold it right there. And when you're doing a stock hairpiece, none of this is done, and you're actually creating a hairpiece look, whereby creating a custom look like this, you're actually creating a hairstyle for Jim. So then make sure it's all contoured to his head.
I feel like it's going to be truly custom already.
Yeah. It's going to fit you like a glove, Jim.
I feel it. It's a perfect fit. It's really forming to my head.
Then what we do is we can see the line through this piece, through this disc, and then we draw this on. And remember, I measured the back, so I want to make sure I got the same depth as once I got this disc on. So I'll go back here and I'll bring it back and I'll mark it off at 9.5. And then the sides, I want to make sure it's 6 inches across is what we measured. So then we'll make the line here and over here. So we got the perfect size. When you make this base, you want to decide whether a person's going to bond it to their head or tape it to their head. So I always set it up, like for Jim, I'm going to set it up that he has a choice to either bond it or tape it. When you bond something, you're actually creating an adhesive on the scalp, and you're putting another adhesive on the bottom of the base, and then you put the two together and it locks together. And then at that point, that bond will probably stay anywhere between 3 and 6 weeks, depending upon the individual. And then you come back here and we take the bond off, and then we rebond it back again. So I'm going to set it up both ways. So I'm going to set up with a material around the perimeter about 1 inch in depth, so that we can bond it or tape it. And for some reason, if an individual is clipping it, then we'll actually mark on here where I want the clips to go. And the manufacturer will put the clips wherever I mark it. Then once we got that all done, then we have to cool this back down again. So I take cold water, soak some towels, and then put it on the disc and cool it down.
Feels like it's perfectly conformed to my head.
Yeah. Okay, so then once that's all done, then Jim can let go. And I'll take this off. And then we take it off his head by lifting it up. There. And what that does is gives me the exact shape of Jim's head. If there's any areas that there's a little bump or something, it'll show up on the mold. And then when we make the piece, it'll actually put that same indentation in the base itself. So you get a perfect fit.